I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't hear. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the biggest buzzkill in true crime. So what do I mean by that? I mean, most of you on this channel, seems like 83% or more that are polled believe that this is a foul play scenario, and so this channel is really a buzzkill in terms of that. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of interest in the foul play theory, and I'm here to basically challenge that. And it's in that sense that I think I'm the biggest buzzkill channel in terms of that sort of thing. Now, of course, if you're a proponent of the foul play theory, you really shouldn't be following the search for Jay in the mountains around Musca. If he was kidnapped, then he was taken somewhere else. So you should really stop following coverage of the search. You should also be suggesting to Jay's family that they're wasting their time searching there, if the foul play thing makes sense. But then I must also ask, okay, well then where should you search? Do you have any ideas? So if you say don't search in Musca, it's foul play, well then do you have an answer for where you should search? Now for the rest of you, all 17% of you, it does make sense that hunters and dogs could provide the breakthrough this case needs. Presumably, they are local hunters, familiar with the area, and also local dogs, hunting dogs, also, importantly, familiar with the terrain. Now, it's kind of an inversion where you say we need people familiar with the terrain to know how to look, to know how to search through this terrain. But the opposite also stands. If you're not familiar with the terrain, there's so much greater probability that you're going to get into trouble. If you're unfamiliar with the area, the odds go up so much quicker that you can get yourself into trouble. Now, in the history of true crime, it's actually astonishing how often hunters have stumbled across human remains, or dogs for that matter. And so we're going to be dealing with some of that in this analysis. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Thank you to the many of you who have subscribed. By the way, I'll be doing a live stream on Saturday night dealing with your questions. We'll look at your best and worst questions, and we'll also see where the case is as it stands at the end of 4 weeks. Also, don't miss day one of the Alec Baldwin trial starting at 9 a.m. local time. That's around about, if you're in the UK, that's about 4 p.m. your time. Should be quite interesting. Some of the legal eagles representing Baldwin, I don't think they've ever lost a case. So one wonders, will this be another one they don't lose or what? Okay, and so let's get on with this analysis. If you are appreciating it, obviously I'm taking a position that's not popular, but it's certainly what I think is the correct assessment. And of course we'll see at the end of this case who was on track and who wasn't, and I think it's important to measure that. And so, if you appreciate my analysis, please show your appreciation. You can hit the thanks button and let's get started. So just a few weeks ago, we discovered that one of the first of the Long Island serial killer's victims was found in the Manorville woods, actually quite close to a hunting, I don't want to call it a retreat, but certainly I think a hunting club. And it was an area preferred by hunters. And incidentally, that first, one of the first sets of human remains was found in the Manorville woods by hunters, right? Now, incidentally, the 4 other sets of human remains, the Gilgo 4, were also discovered by a trained dog called Blue. In the Lacey Peterson case, 2 different dogs discovered the washed-up remains of Scott Peterson's wife and also unborn child. These were dogs just out for a walk with their owners around San Francisco Bay. Dogs also alerted to the presence of human remains in the Suzanne Morphew case, in the Kelsey Bereth case, and the Casey Anthony case. And what is important there, and I've written books on 2 of those cases, what's important is these alerts occurred during the period when the defense case claimed that they were still alive and simply missing. And of course, it turned out that that wasn't the case. So, dogs don't lie, except apparently in the Madeleine McCann case. Now, why does partridge hunting in the area, why will that likely be particularly useful? And I think the reason is after shooting the birds, they're going to fall out of the sky. They're going to land relatively randomly in the undergrowth. And the dogs will then necessarily need to go in, lots of dogs, and sniff them out. And this may well lead to dogs and people, hunters, accessing areas that searchers didn't think to search or didn't search carefully enough. And I do think the mentality of a searcher is almost walk along a path, look left, look right, and keep going. Whereas I think the mentality of a hunter is totally different. You're actually looking for the sort of place where animals like birds might hide. And so it's a totally different way of looking at the landscape. One local told Sky News, quote, "There will be different people in the area and a better chance of finding him. The season begins in early August, that's about 3 weeks away, but hunters are already in the area for training." Also seen on Sunday, according to Sky News, 2 huntsmen with their pack of dogs were spotted in the same area that was searched by a local hiking group. So what we're seeing is the area that the searchers are kind of covering is overlapping with areas that these hunters are going to be kind of penetrating. And even members of Jay's family were searching in that same area. So there certainly is reason for some optimism in terms of a potential breakthrough for the search. Now, the team, led by local hiker Juan Garcia, and this is the search team, it also included Jay's uncle Glenn and his father Warren, also his older brother Zach. They focused on an area of a gorge close to where his phone was last located. Now, you can also imagine idiosyncrasies in the terrain would also be preferred by certain animals, where the terrain is somewhat sheltered. That would be preferable for certain animals that don't want to get blown by the wind or spotted by other predators. Now, according to Sky News, following the search of Barranco Juan Lopez, which had previously been searched by police, helicopters and drones, Mr. Garcia said it was a labyrinth and like looking for a needle in a haystack. So you even have locals saying, wow, this area is like, almost like Swiss cheese. It's just very difficult to search. Now, of course, the reason Jay hasn't been found isn't because the terrain is treacherous or dangerous. It's because of foul play. The idiosyncrasies of the landscape's got nothing to do with anything. It's totally irrelevant. What actually happened to him is foul play. Let's go to the drug narrative. And the foul player, whoever he is, magically entered and left the area without leaving a trace of himself or Jay. And as some people confidently predict, Jay will never be found again. Well, if you don't look for him, he won't be found. And I must say, those who say that, I hope you guys aren't dog owners, because I wonder how long you'd search for a lost pet before declaring it hopeless. 10 minutes? 5 minutes? The searcher also told Sky News the area is covered in cacti and bushes, and this is the part that's the most important. Jay could be nearby. He could be 2 meters away, and we couldn't see him. And of course, if you have a situation like that and you've got to cover a massive area, then you've got to cover a massive area meticulously, and that's not easy to do. And so we may not see someone 2 meters away if he's nearby, but a dog could. Anyway, I'm not going to take it further than that. In the next episode, we'll be looking at the notion that the Airbnb dudes should be considered prime suspects. Most of those on my channel said something to that effect. Well, if it's so obvious, if it's so simple, why haven't the police arrested them? If it's so obvious to you, why haven't the police done it? Well, we'll look into that in the next analysis. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.